This is episode 589. And today we're going to be talking about secrets to finding yourself. A lot of clients come with me looking for to discover their purpose or finding themselves or any variety of these of feeling lost, if I could use that expression. And trying to find yourself has gotten really a mixed reputation, if you will. Um, it can be a convenient excuse when you want to break up with somebody without mentioning the real reasons. It can be an excuse to quitting your job. All these things are excuses. Well, I need to go find myself. I need to go find myself. Well, you look in the mirror, you found yourself. But that's besides the point. It can also be a diversion from accepting responsibilities, like doing your share of household chores or getting a job or something similar to that. So this finding yourself has taken on different meanings. When we go back to native cultures, that was like a humbletia, a vision quest, trying to, quote, find yourself, although that's not what they called it back then. But often we can feel lost and displaced, and we try to find ourselves by ignoring what we're involved in, a relationship, a job, or finding a job. And those are things that can be a distraction or even prevent us from actually facing who we really are. And, on the other hand, figuring out who you are and what you need to do in order to have a fulfilling and satisfying life could be and probably is the most important and satisfying questions you'll ever answer. It goes along with what's my purpose? Who am I? All of those big, big, big questions that really do take time. We just don't, the answers just don't pop to us on the radio or like a commercial. This takes time. It takes reflection. It takes introspection. It takes silence and being alone. So if you're sincere about self-discovery, try these suggestions to guide you in your search. And these are just things that I've helped clients with, that I've done myself. And again, there are many, many, many ways to do this. You can go like a Humblatia, again, a vision quest. You can go to different spiritual retreats, meditation retreats where you're in silence. There are many, many ways. But a lot of us, one, make excuses why we can't be alone. We have too much to do. Well, if you were in the hospital for an illness, you would be alone. So we're just using this as convenient excuses. So these steps that I'm about to go over, these aspects that I'm about to go over, allow you to stay active in your life, but also provide you that little breath, that little bit of stillness so that you can really, really take a look at who you are or who you should be. So the first one is clarify your values. Values are those things in life that point directions to what's important for us. A value provides a focus point for us. For instance, many of us don't really know our values, but if we look at our behavior, there's a very strong indication to it. I remember I was working with one individual and they said their top value is their family, yet they spent 12, 13, 14 hours a day in the office. Now, this is not bad. Their excuse was, well, I'm working for my family. My family comes first. But in reality, the action is the determination on what comes first. And as we looked deeper into it, the career, if you will, or that part of the person's life came first, and then the family. And what was happening is they were feeling so guilty about working these hours that they were getting confused in a sense. So once we understood it and able to accept it and then have a conversation with the family, it was great. She still worked, the 12 hours, but it wasn't feeling guilty about it because he understood that was part of the values that they embraced. So you want to take a look at what are your core values. There are a lot of values assessments online. You can get with a coach like myself or somebody else and do a values solicitation, but values are essential. If you don't know your values, your values are part of who you are. And if you don't know your values, you will have a very difficult time finding yourself. Understand your strengths. There's a Gallup Strength Finder assessment, a character strength. So we have values, that what's important to us, and then we have our strengths, what we are good at. And often many people think that they're not good at much. And what's interesting is because something comes so easy to us, our strength, we tend to downplay it or discount it, thinking, oh, everybody has this. And that's not the truth. So, to understand your strengths, if you don't know what they are, Gallup Strength Finder, there's a book, Strength Finder 201 or 2.0, I forgot what it is. But anyway, if you look up Gallup Strength Finder and take the assessment there, those will be your strengths. So now you've combined your values, what's important to you, and now your strengths, how you show up in the world, what are your strong things. And just on a side note, when you get this assessment, you'll also find it'll be ranked from 1 to 64, not that you're weakest, but the ones that are less strong. And it's important to understand you work with your strengths as opposed to strengthening your weaknesses. You want to keep your weaknesses at a level where it doesn't sabotage you, but you don't want to spend your time on the weaknesses and let your strengths diminish. So understanding your strengths and working with your strengths will help you in finding yourself. Build support. Once you found your values, what's important to you, once you identified your strengths, you need a support system to help you live your values and execute your strengths. And that can be either, friends, family, a meetup group, spiritual practice. Obviously, a coach can help you with that as well. But building support to allow you to express these strengths and express your values in a safe environment will help you in finding who you are, right? We need to have that safe container so that we can experiment with these things to make sure that this is truly part of who we are. And the support system is truly essential. Without a support system, it can be a very rocky road, but with a support system, it can be a fun roller coaster. Create flow states. So flow, we could do a whole bunch of podcasts on this by itself. The person who coined the word flow, Csikszentmihalyi Csikszentmihalyi, talks about when you get into a state where time basically stands still or flies by, whichever perspective you want to use. And when you get into these flow states, it's using what you're good at, what your strengths, and then using that strength on a task that is just a little bit more than you've done before. So you have to give it complete focus, complete attention, and then the time will pass by. And you can create that. The Rise of Superman by Steve Kotler talks about flow states. Again, the book Flow from Csikszentmihalyi Csikszentmihalyi talks about flow states. But basically, you want to be involved with something that complements your strengths, but something that is going to be a little bit outside your normal complacent zone. So you have to focus intently. And when you focus intently, and it takes a period of time, you will then be in this flow state. And that flow state opens up you to the universe in a sense. And you'll be able to get information, receive information, and by in that flow state, that is part of who you are. Set goals. Yes, always set goals. We want to set goals to find who we are. Because here's the thing, goals are there not necessarily to be accomplished. Goals are there for us to grow as a person. We need to grow into the goal. So we want to set goals outside of our comfort zone, outside of our complacent zone. So we have to change as a person. But as we change, we will get feedback like, this doesn't feel good. This feels good. This isn't right. So we're going to get feedback. If you just sit on the couch all day long, you're not going to get any feedback and you're never going to find out who you really are. But by setting goals and going after them, and we want to stay with them. Even if it's hard, we want to do it as long as it's fun and the flow states are created and we're leveraging our strengths. But if it's something like for me, if I wanted to start baking and set a goal for it, that's not part of who I am. I would rather go to a bakery and buy something than futz around with it. So I know that that is not who I am. I'm not a baker. I'm very creative, but not in that realm. I've tried it and I know it doesn't work for me. And that would be a weakness. And instead of trying to strengthen that, I use other things to accent my strengths. So setting goals will put a spotlight on what is enjoyable, even if it's difficult. Like for me, lifting weights is enjoyable, even though it's difficult. So for yourself, setting these goals and getting the feedback from it will help you identify yourself, in combination of value, strengths, support, and the flow states. So the question is where to look for these things. Where do you look to find yourself? Well, listen to yourself. Being quiet. This is why being quiet and alone sometimes makes people uneasy. They always have to have a radio going on, a TV going on, something going on, distractions, talking about, and they never sit in silence. If you sat in silence, eyes closed, you could either call it meditation or listening to yourself, and ask yourself a question like, who am I? And then be quiet. Close your eyes and be quiet. Don't be around any sound. Just be in complete silence and listen to yourself. It's not going to come to you right away. So you may have to sit in silence for a minute, then 3 minutes, then 5 minutes, then 7 minutes, then 10 minutes. But be quiet to listen to yourself. See, the ego is a very loud, yelling, screaming orchestra. Our soul whispers to us, and we can't hear our soul when our ego has taken over. This is why we need to sit and be quiet, because eventually the ego is going to try to distract us, and then it will go, oh, you're not listening to me. Let me check out. That voice will stop, and then you'll be able to hear the whispers of your soul. So that's why you need to start to listen to yourself. Accept your feelings. When you have a feeling about something, and we want to be discerning about it, because feelings come from our thoughts, right? Our thoughts can create feelings, but we want to accept them and then go, does this feeling help me move forward in life, or does it hold me back? If it holds you back, is it perhaps your ego holding you back from finding yourself? Does the ego create these feelings? And I'm one that the ego is not good or bad, it's just not trained. So when we can find these feelings and then discern, are they helping me in life or holding me back? And if they're holding me back, what are they holding me back from? And that would be a very good direction on finding yourself. Ask your friends and family. Ask them, hey, what am I good at? What do you see my strengths? You may want to ask weaknesses, but I tend to prefer to stay away from weaknesses, because that gives everybody, well, you're a jerk, you're this, you're that, and that's, personality. But I would stay with asking your friends and family what you're good at, what you're strong at, how have you helped them in certain situations, and those things will come out, and those are breadcrumbs that will point you in the direction of basically finding yourself. Keep a journal. Journals are awesome. At the end of the day, you could do a gratitude journal and then do, here's what I felt today. Here's what I thought. I wonder why I felt this way. What's going on? Keeping a journal, whether it's handwritten or on your phone or on your laptop, it's a great way to go back and reflect on your thoughts, feelings, emotions, actions, and results for that day to get a better clarity on who you are. Read, listen, watch things that help support you, right? Read books on personal development, on growth, read biographies, listen to podcasts that help create an inquisitive mind. We want to be able, these things aren't just entertainment. We want to use this for inquiry. We want to read biographies. We want to read about the rise of Superman. We want to read these things so then we can inquire about ourselves. Because when we start asking questions, we will, if we're quiet, we will get answers. So, you could watch some documentaries, watch some great YouTubes out there. But these three things, read, listen, watch, is not for entertainment. It's to create an inquiry, an inquisitive, a curiosity about yourself. Embrace new experiences, right? When you go out, if somebody says, hey, let's go ballroom dancing, go for it. Embrace new experience. If you've never gone on, a 10-mile hike and somebody says we're going to go on a 10-mile hike, go for it. Embrace these new experiences so you can expand yourself, expand your reality, and expand how you interface with that reality. And those new experiences will provide insight into knowing yourself. Practice your spiritual faith, whatever that may be, whether it's, an organized religion, whether it's spirituality, walking in nature, but practice it every week, at least once a week, preferably daily. And when you practice that spiritual faith, you will then be in a receptive mode to hearing your soul and helping you find yourself. And then obviously get a coach. All of these things are great, but a coach can hold you accountable with it, can ask you some great questions, can guide you through a journey of finding yourself. And a coach is one of the best investments you can make in finding yourself, finding your purpose, determining your path in life. Wonderful, wonderful, whether it's me or someone else. So keep in mind, finding yourself is an ongoing process that lasts a lifetime, because as we get new experiences, we change, and finding ourselves can be changing as well. So be willing to discover the truth about yourself. This is where your values, your virtues, your strengths come in. Be willing, be courageous in finding out the truth of yourself. And aligning your activities with your values and goals will help you lead to a more rewarding and successful life. We often do actions that don't align with our values and our goals, and we feel miserable, and we feel grumpy and whatever it is. So do your values, do your strengths, set goals accordingly, and you will have a much more rewarding and successful life. If you'd like to see the show notes on this podcast, you can visit warriormindcoach.com for more information, find other podcasts, find out how to contact me, and some blog posts. And since you'll be on the internet, please visit me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.